Well, it's week 3 of The Mandalorian, and I have to tell you, I am still just glowing with glee. Every week when I watch this show, I am so happy that Star Wars has once again warmed the cockles of my heart and made me happy. My name's Ben. I am KSGeekMan on the internet. And one of the things I love and have loved for over 40 years is Star Wars. And I'm excited about being able to share this. I'm also an artist. I do artwork for Topps. I've drawn for Star Wars for the past 3 to 4 years. And just very passionate about Star Wars and love talking Star Wars. So let me get to this episode. I'm just going to unpack it. We're just going to talk about it. In this episode, Chapter 3, The Sin, we get an even better understanding of the state of the Empire. I love this. I love seeing post-Return of the Jedi what's happening, how it's broken into various factions and warlords. It seems like the creators are mining from the old expanded universe, now known as Legends, and that's no surprise with Dave Filoni being involved in this. This is a positive, I think. It's a good thing. I think the post-Return of the Jedi era and how the Empire was handled was probably one of the greatest positives about the old expanded universe. We're also getting more into the Mandalorian lore and their values or religion. It's apparent that they were definitely burned by the Empire at some point, and I know there were episodes and there was a couple of story arcs in the TV show, the Rebels TV show. I don't remember those as well as I remember the Clone Wars Mandalorian arc, so not as memorable to me. I may have to go back and rewatch those just to see if there's some hint at that conversation in the middle of this episode of The Mandalorian where they talk about such disdain for the Empire, and it seems like they did something to the Mandalorians. Okay, so he also, let me see this. The Mandalorian himself, he's got some tensions. I think there are various tensions that he's dealing with. He's following a bounty hunting code. He follows the Mandalorian code, and it's also revealed that he has a personal code based on his desire to know what's going to happen to Baby Yoda, for lack of, again, better name because there is none. But I do still believe that it's a clone. Shh, a Yoda clone. He obviously holds some softness or tenderness towards the innocent, like innocent children. And I think based on the flashback scenes we're getting, we can see why. Here are some quick bullet points that I typed up while I was watching the show. Here's the first one. This one is huge. There's a purpose for the ice cream maker. Yes. You guys remember that? The Empire Strikes Back. The nod to good old Wilro Hood, who was running through the halls of Bespin as the Empire was taking over Cloud City. We saw this character running through the halls with an ice cream maker, and turns out the ice cream maker is like a safe. So we all knew that Wilro had something valuable in there. Now we saw how it actually operates and functions. That was pretty awesome. And as I've mentioned before, that was good fan service. Good fan service. All right, here's something that I haven't heard anybody talk about. Swipes are back. Scene swipes. Whenever there's a change of to another scene, I don't know if you guys are noticing, but they are integrating the old swipes that George Lucas had in the original trilogy. And this is something that I always thought was a tragic mistake. Tragic, I don't know. I don't mean to be... I sound so serious about it, but I mean, I think it is a creative mistake to not have added those into The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, because it just isn't consistent filmmaking with the rest, the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy. They both had those swipes. They don't do them in the sequel trilogy. I have no idea why. I don't understand why they wouldn't do that. Unless it's, creatives just being pretentious about their way of making filmmaking. They really should have done that for consistency's sake. At any rate, kudos to Filoni and Favreau for adding those. It's awesome. And it again proves why I believe those two are the ones that should be carrying the Star Wars torch into the future. Here's another point I made. Give me whistling birds. Oh my goodness. That was amazing. If you've seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it and you've made it this far, wow, you just got spoiled by a bunch of stuff, so I am sorry. Anyway, you shouldn't be watching this. Turn it off. Turn it off and go watch it. Or wait and then come back. Let me give you another thing. Seeing the flame projector gauntlet in action is so pleasing. Literally had to wipe a smile off my face because we've never seen that in live action that I can recall. Maybe once. I do think we saw Django use it against Mace Windu on Geonosis, didn't we? I think I forgot about that. There was that once, one moment. But man, it just was so good to see again. Huge nod to the 501st. I remember going to this panel at Celebration Chicago in April, and they told the story of where the stormtroopers all came from. Those are actual 501st members. They are not actors. They are people who are a part of the 501st, played these stormtroopers, and they are doing a fantastic job. I love it. It's just great. That again proves good fan service, good bridge to fandom through Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. Kudos, huge kudos. Clone Wars integration is awesome as they continue every week building upon the backstory through these flashback scenes. I love seeing Clone Wars being integrated into this and seeing where the Mandalorians, history comes from. And I can't wait to see and find out how he was rescued as a boy. Was it the Mandalorians that rescued him? I'm guessing it was. Or was it the Jedi? And that's why he has an affinity as well towards Baby Yoda. I don't know. We'll see. One thing, too, this was something I noted because I remember after the first week, I was watching some reviews and hearing people on Twitter talk about this. The tracking fobs, people were upset about that because they were saying it just destroys the lore and the history of bounty hunting in the Star Wars universe. And when I heard that, I was like, well, I think they missed what was going on. I think they created these tracking fobs because they put a tracker on the Yoda because it's a valuable clone. It's an asset that they did not want to lose, and it was so important. So they just created these fobs, and they were just passing them out. And the fobs don't just chase anybody. They're specifically made for this Baby Yoda. So, yeah, I think fans just need to chill out because I feel like my I Hate Disney Star Wars friends out on the internet are blinded by their anger. They're missing some elementary points here. I think they just need to settle in, settle down, and watch it and pay attention. Anyway, last thing I noted was flying flippin' Mandos. Come on! How awesome was it to see an army of Mandalorians flying around on their jetpacks protecting the Mandalorian as he's trying to escape with Baby Yoda. Oh my goodness, that was so amazing. It was awesome. Such a great visual. I remember Clone Wars, seeing all of that in animated form, and it was awesome. But, man, I just remember thinking, man, how cool would it be to see that in a live-action movie? And we got it. And, man, it just looks great. The effects that they're doing in this show are so good. It was one thing I was concerned about when I saw the panel was I made note that you could tell that it seemed like it was kind of on TV, and I think there's moments you can tell that, but man, for the most part, the special effects are just out of this world. They're just doing so good. So it was just awesome. Man, so good. Anyway, not to rehash the whole problems I have with the sequel trilogy, but here in a nutshell is the message that I have for those at Lucasfilm. Making decisions that have kind of divided fandom in ways that kind of seem irreparable. Here's what I have to say to you. I'll use the words of the Mandos themselves. What you guys are doing with The Mandalorian, this is the way. Please, I implore you, keep it up. Don't listen to people who are complaining. I'm seeing things on the internet about not enough female representation, yada, yada. There are weeks that are coming, and there will be more females in the show, but I do not like the approach of just trying to please people with identity. I love when you guys are just writing good stories and when these characters come to light because it fits. Don't make it the priority. Make what you're doing priority, telling a good story. And I'm excited to see week after week what you guys are doing. This truly is the way, and thank you for making good Star Wars. This is awesome. I appreciate it. I love it. I hope you guys are loving it too, those of you that are watching and consuming. Let me know your thoughts on this episode. And man, Star Wars, it is here. I'm loving it. Every week is better. All right, take care, guys. If you don't mind, drop a like, drop a comment, whatever. Just subscribe, yada yada, all that stuff. Peace out. We'll see ya. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please take a moment and give it a thumbs up, and maybe consider following the KSGeekMan channel. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter over at KSGeekMan.